Welcome online, ladies and gentlemen. We're just getting started for today's event. So do us a favor, type in exactly where you're watching us from as we put on our little 60-second timer to get the event started.
Michael, you're muted.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome online today for our session. We are live streaming on YouTube as well as in the Zoom room. Do us a favor, type in exactly where you're logging in from as we get the event started in the chat. And for those people who don't speak English, have a quick listen to this for closed captions.
Untuk mengaktifkan terjemahan bahasa Indonesia, silakan klik caption di panel laptop atau handphone Anda semua.
Para poder obtener la traducción en español es necesario hacer clic en el menú de Zoom y elegir la opción subtítulos en español.
大家好，如果你想看字幕，请按屏幕底下的 CC 按钮，选择中文。此功能仅适用于直播。
Bonjour, bienvenue à cet événement Newme. Vous pouvez activer les sous-titres dans votre langue en cliquant sur Sous-titres au bas de l'écran. Veuillez noter que cette option fonctionne uniquement dans la salle Zoom en direct. Merci et bonne écoute.
大家好，如果你想看字幕，請按屏幕底下嘅 CC 按鈕選擇中文。呢個功能淨係適用於直播。
Fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your MC for today's event, Keith Chazon, Double Diamond from Louisiana.
Well, hey, welcome everyone. It's super great to be here tonight. You know, I wasn't initially tagged to come in and introduce Steve tonight, but Michael reached out, and it's always my pleasure. I'm always excited when he calls me. If I get an opportunity to host Steve, I'm always excited to do so. You know, Jamie and I got started with this with the business of Newme a little over a couple of years ago. Kind of a little hesitant about the business part of it, but we really love the idea of the technology of NutraSwish, the molecular encapsulation of the nano-sized particles, the delivery being sublingual into the bloodstream and into the cell within 70 seconds really got me excited. But what really sealed the deal for me was I was watching a video, and on the video was like an event that happened in Atlanta, Georgia. And Stephen Scott was there, the founder that's going to be with us tonight. He was there doing a talk on the technology with a group of people. And at the end of it, they all were going up to him with a book and having him sign it. I was like, what is he signing? And then somebody holds the book up, and it's this book, The Richest Man Who Ever Lived. I'm like, I got that book. And so I went to my library here, and I dug through everything. I found it. And I'm like, man, I've read this thing 2 or 3 times. If this is the same guy that is behind this technology, I got to meet him personally. So Jamie and I heard he was coming to Dallas, Texas. We drove 8 hours to go meet him, not just to have him sign the book, but to meet the man behind the mission. Because the part that was most important to me, if I was going to partner with another company in the network marketing space, it would have to be somebody that was had high levels of character and integrity and morals and good standing in the community, a great family man, somebody that had heart for humanity. It would have to be led by somebody like that. And so when I met Steve, I was all in. Jamie and I, we couldn't get home fast enough so we can start talking to people more than what we had already been doing. So, tonight's breakthrough call is always a fantastic call, but when you get to hear it from the man that is responsible for bringing this technology to the world, it's always that much better. So without further ado, introducing my friend of a couple of years, founder of NUMI and the technology, the breakthrough of hydrostat molecular encapsulation technology, Stephen Scott. Stephen?
Hello there. Thank you. It's great to see everybody and all my friends here. Thank you for joining us tonight. I guess it's tomorrow morning for a lot of you, and I see you, Jackie. Oh, there's so many nice people on this call. And what I like about what Keith just said, he talked about a mission. This is a mission. It's a different kind of mission. It's a mission to get product out that can change people's lives, have an economic system that can help people that want to work it, and maintain a culture of helping. If you're on this call and you're part of our NUMI family, you have family members in 72 countries right now. In October, we will be opening Japan and Thailand. So that'll take us to 74. But what's so neat, I've had the joy of visiting a number of countries, obviously not all of them, but the people really do treat not just me, anybody on the team as family members. And that's what we hoped for. We had a couple people that were, we started this with about 13 distributors from my past company, and not all of them were from the past company, but a few were. And the one thing they were insistent on was maintaining the culture. And they prayed for it, that we wouldn't, we wouldn't be part of the flim flam group. We wouldn't be part that shows people paychecks and tell everybody how great we are as individuals, but that we would keep our eye on the ball and realize that what we have is not only an opportunity, it's a responsibility, it's a stewardship. When God puts something wonderful in your hands to share with other people, he doesn't want you to hoard it. And that's the case with this. In how many days from now? Okay, 6 days from now, I'll turn 76. And it's to be 76, to be at this point of life and be able to still make a difference with other people. Not be in retirement where, I leave everything to everybody else to do and hope they do what I could have done. And it's wonderful. And I get to do it with people I care about, people that I love. Same thing with Ryan and Sean, our executive team. We all feel like this is just such a special opportunity, which is why we keep trying to make it better. So tonight we'll go ahead and talk about the breakthrough, but we will also talk about a little bit about the new product, about the application of our technology, might be coming down the pike. What's cool is that our technology is such a breakthrough that anything you apply it to, if you're able to apply it, and you can't apply it to everything, but whatever you do apply it to, you're going to be able to have a much higher effectiveness and efficiency from the same raw materials that everybody else uses. But when it's in our form, we get a level of cellular utilization that other people don't get. And I spend a lot of time talking about that. I was talking with a group of doctors the other day, and they said, now, tell us what you think about your bioavailability. And I said, well, let me tell you what I think about bioavailability. Bioavailability is just a nice word. So you put something in the bloodstream, and here are the cells, and just having it pass by the cell, that's bioavailability. If there's a potential for it to get into the cell or absorb into the cell or somehow impact the surface of the cell in a way, that's availability, but it's not utilization. Utilization only takes place when you are actually in the cell, and when the cell is, you put it in a form that the cell can very quickly begin to use. And that's what we've done. We've done it starting with the most important molecule in life. It's just as important as oxygen. Without it, there'd be no oxygen transfer. So that's why it's as important as oxygen. So glutathione is a tripeptide. That means it's 3 amino acids in one molecule. And these amino acids are sewn together through a 100 sequential step electrochemical process. So think about that. It's not just, okay, here's some glycine, here's some glutamic acid, and here's some cysteine. Okay, it's all together. No, it's a sequential step. And if one step is out of sequence, the molecule is non-existent. One step out of sequence, and there's no life on Earth, no plants, trees, animals, fish, birds, people. We all disappear. Glutathione is that critical to life. And so it is what's called a tripeptide, which means 3 peptides or 3 amino acids in one molecular chain. And it performs, now this number is an old number. This number, when did I hear 400? I probably heard it 15 years ago. They may have found another 100 functions, but we know it performs at least 400 functions, and it performs some of those functions that nothing else can provide. So you're up the river. For example, let's take oxygen transfer, since that's pretty important. You know, oxygen, we take it for granted. We take our whole pulmonary system for granted until something goes wrong. And when all of a sudden, every breath is pain. My dad, unfortunately, passed away from lung cancer. And they gave him lots of morphine. They tried to make him comfortable, but the last few weeks of his life were really, really painful. And I'm sure he never thought about that until he had cancer. And so many things we take for granted, but breathing is one of them. It's just automatic, but it isn't automatic. The oxygen has to come into it comes in, of course, as we breathe. It goes through our bronchia, and it goes through bronchial tubes into the lungs. And then it's transferred from the lungs to every cell in your body through the bloodstream. But the way that happens, you've got hemoglobin molecules and you've got oxygen molecules. And the problem is the hemoglobin has the wrong electromagnetic charge, so it cannot bind to oxygen and cannot deliver oxygen. It has to be reduced to a +2. And once that reduction takes place, it instantly binds to the oxygen and delivers it. The only reduction agent for hemoglobin, the only thing that can reduce it to that +2 so it can bind to oxygen, is glutathione. And yet I speak all over the country, well, all over the world now, to doctors, and a lot of them say, oh, you don't have to tell me about glutathione. I already believe in it. I know what it is. I know what it does. I can ask usually 2 or 3 questions and their eyes get great big. I'll say, did you know there's no oxygen transfer without it? And they look at me like, what? Yeah, because it's not a widely publicized thing. It's in the scientific literature, but you got to know where it is. I don't even know where it is, but Dr. Nagasawa, the world's expert on glutathione, is the one who told me, and I take his word as gospel in this area because he spent 40 years of his life at the University of Minnesota, and one of his primary focuses was glutathione. Ask most doctors about glutathione, and half of them will not know what you're talking about. it's not untypical for me to get the question, is that related to glucosamine? No more than a tree is related to a car. No relationship. And well, what is it? And then you have to tell them it's a tripeptide. And then a lot of doctors will say it's an antioxidant. I think I remember from medical school that it was an antioxidant. Yes, that Grand Canyon is a hole in the ground. Now, there's a difference between the pothole that you drive over and get all upset because it almost blew out your tire and the Grand Canyon. They're both holes in the ground. Glutathione is an antioxidant. So is vitamin C, vitamin E, CoQ10, catalase, superoxide dismutase. They're all antioxidants. But those guys are little pebbles compared to glutathione, and glutathione's Mount Everest. Can you imagine you finally see a dream come true? You go to the base of Mount Everest and you're looking at that mountain and you just go, whoa, look at 29,000, I think it's 29,385 feet, something like that. And so you pull out a Polaroid, and now you got one of those cheap Polaroids that has black and white and the pictures are only about that big. And so you snap a picture and you go home and you look at Mount Everest. Look at Mount Everest. And everybody looks at it and goes, yeah, what about it? I mean, it's tiny. No, it's not tiny. It's massive. It's the highest mountain in the world. Well, glutathione's like that. And unfortunately, a lot of people know a little bit about glutathione, but they don't really understand how important it is. I was talking to a dear friend of mine's daughter. He was my partner for 35 years in American Telecast, and his daughter is a vet, a very high-priced vet, because she deals with horses. And she's got quite a practice in Pennsylvania where a lot of people ride horses. I mean, it's as popular in Eastern Pennsylvania as tennis is every place else. I mean, there's certain areas you go and you just see them all over the place, people riding their horses. And when I mentioned glutathione, because her dad had asked me to call her, and she said, yeah, I've heard a little bit about glutathione, about it. It's antioxidant. We all need something to deal with oxidative stress. Well, that's as much as she knew. Now, she had been through veterinary school, and then it's a specialty, and it's very difficult to get into I don't know, equine. I don't know if I'm saying that word right, equine medicine. And it's with horses. And she's got 4 horse doctors that work for her in her practice. It's a very big practice. Well, I had a talk with her for 45 minutes, and she just goes, oh, Steve, really, really, really. And I said, we're finding everything that we work with. Thank you, Christy. Christy just texted a little note. Everything we see with humans so far, we're seeing with horses. Now, we're not a horse product. I said that in the member call last night. We are a supplement for humans. We are a cosmetic spray for humans. So any off-label use of the product is the responsibility of the user. We don't endorse it for that, okay? But Tara's a close family friend. I knew her when she was a tiny little girl, watched her grow up, and she was one of the top riders in the country in college, I guess an equestrian event, and she had a real shot. She had won Northeast Regionals and had a real shot at winning the national championship. She didn't go. You know why? She wanted to take her tests. She had to ace her test to keep eligible for getting into vet school. That's how badly she wanted it. So she gave up a national championship so she could get into veterinary school. And I just remember thinking, wow, that's sacrificial. That's pretty amazing. So anyway, I sent her some pictures and some stories, and now she's all excited, and she says, I already have horses I want to try this with. And we made an announcement. If you didn't hear it, some of you know who our horse person is in Canada. Please do not call her. Call your upline. They can call your diamond. Your diamond can call me. But she got 94 calls the other day from NUMI people. How would you like to have 94 calls every single day from your NUMI family members that are nice? And bless her heart, she was trying to answer questions and everything, but that's not her job. She's got to make a living. She's got to help other riders, other equestrians and their horses. And she's got a wonderful life. She can't do that. So we ask everybody to refrain from that. That's not her job. I have said we are going to use our technology to work on creating an animal line, a line for pets and a line for bigger animals like horses. And we're going to try real hard. I think we'll have a line. Don't hold me to it, but I think we'll have a line within the next 12 months. And but all that to say, what we have is applicable to just about any animal, any mammal, because they all have glutathione. They all use glutathione. It's manufactured by every cell in their body. Okay, so let's talk about it. Now that we know it's a tripeptide, what does it do? We know it. There's no oxygen transfer without it. What else does it do? It's the sole protector of the immune system. The immune system is designed by God to protect you and me from bacterial and viral insults, from infections, to protect us from anything that wants to harm our body, any organism. But what protects it? The answer is glutathione. It's the only thing that protects the immune system. When you have low levels of glutathione, your T cells, which are the assassins, reproduce slowly in response to a bacterial or viral insult. Now, the problem is the bacteria or virus is reproducing rapidly to explosively. In the case of COVID, it was explosive how fast it reproduced within the human body. And your T cells, to get on top of that, have to be able to reproduce rapidly. And if your glutathione levels are low, they reproduce more slowly, and the bacteria or virus, sometimes the cancer cell, will win. On the other hand, if your glutathione levels are upgraded and are robust and the level is higher, then the T cells reproduce rapidly to explosively in response to a bacterial or viral insult. That's when your body produces the T cells, when it has a reason to. I guess it's always producing around the clock because there's always invaders. But when it really goes into action full force is when there's a real insult, a real assault. That's I called it an assault one time, and the scientist said it's not an assault, it's an insult. So know that we have insults. Anyway, so it's critical to our immune system. And I have one of my friends, he is the trainer, athletic trainer for the Detroit, let's see, which team? Detroit Lions football team. And he's been on our Swish product, our glutathione enhancing product, since I was producing it in the lab back in 2018. And he said, my family thinks I'm crazy for how much I swish. But he said, isn't it interesting, when a major flu bug came around, everybody in my family got flu and I didn't get sick. And he said, then we went through the pandemic, and he said the teams I was working with, which was the Arizona Cardinals football team and the Diamondbacks baseball team, he said they all got it. They all got it. He says, I didn't get it. Now, we don't prevent, cure, treat any disease. What we do is we increase the production of your body's miracle molecule. That's all. That's all we do. But it's a big deal. Nobody's ever done it as effectively or efficiently as we do. So what else does it do besides the immune system and oxygen transfer? Well, it's the sole protector of your mitochondrial DNA. What does that mean? As according to Dr. Dean Jones at Emory University, he's not a medical doctor. He is a PhD in microbiology. According to him, as long as the mitochondrial DNA stays intact in the cells, they can't mutate and multiply. But when the mitochondrial DNA is broken in the cell, it is then at risk to mutating and multiplying. Within the next 10 years, cancer will pass heart disease as the #1 killer here in America. It's been catching up. But now that what's been discovered is young people are aging at a much faster rate than our generation aged. And as a result, they're becoming susceptible to the 78 disease classes of aging earlier. And one of those disease classes of aging is cancer. Now, this was a study done on 104,000 adults ages 18 through, I think, 35 in England. It just was published a couple months ago. And it was shocking and it was scary that cancer alone is up 17% in today's young people over what it used to be with young people. And all of that starts when the mitochondrial DNA is broken. So how does glutathione protect it? Well, glutathione is the detoxifier of the cell. It has a sticky sulfur molecule, sulfhydryl molecule, which means sulfur and water. And it's real sticky and it sticks to the chemical and it takes it out of the cell. Every cell in your liver has 1,000 times more glutathione than any other cell in your body. That's because the liver uses it to detoxify itself. And so what Dr. Jones said, he said this at a cancer symposium. He said, if we want to do a better job at preventing cancer, we must find ways to raise glutathione levels in the cell. Then I'm quoting him almost verbatim. And he said, let me explain. He said, 95% of all cancers gain traction in the human body when the mitochondrial DNA is broken. What breaks the mitochondrial DNA most of the time is the chemical load in the cell. Now, everybody on this call has at least 200 industrial chemicals in your body that don't belong there. You get them through what you breathe, what you drink, and you even get them from what you touch. This computer that I'm looking at you on right now has it has a chemical that absorbs and disperses the heat of the circuit board. That's the only thing this chemical is used for, is circuit boards on computers and devices, right? When they examined the umbilical cords of 2,000 women, and they checked for 217 industrial chemicals, one of which is the one I'm talking about, they found those 217 in every umbilical cord. Now, how's it getting from the circuit board and the computer to us? Is it through touch? Is it through some sort of vapor that we don't see? They don't know. They were just shocked that it's in the umbilical cords and going into the fetus. And so industrial chemicals are tough things. We're never going to get them out of the environment. Why? We like watching TV. We like driving cars. You can't even operate these green windmills without it. I mean, you can't divorce yourself from modern society. Now, the Amish, I know the Amish do, and most people aren't willing to limit their transportation to horse and buggies. Amish people are, and I respect them for that. tremendous admiration for the Amish. And, but anyway, we like our industrial society, so we get the chemicals. Now, what do we do with them? Glutathione, he said, this is what Dean Jones said. He said it lowers the chemical load and thereby protects the integrity of the mitochondrial DNA for a longer period of time. It prolongs its integrity. Critical function. And once again, the only thing that does that is glutathione. Glutathione is also the primary, it is the only detoxifier in our cells, but it is also the primary chelator. That means it can take out heavy metals. So isn't this amazing that all this is going on as you go through your day? Whether you're awake or asleep, everything continues to work. It is a machine with thousands and trillions of machines in our body, and they never stop working. That's not a miracle, it's trillions of miracles. Okay, what else does it do? It is our body's master antioxidant. Why is that critical importance? Well, every cell in your body, and if Keith, if you want to look up the stadium, every cell in your body is attacked 10 to 20,000 times a day by free radicals. Free radicals are scavengers. They want to steal an electron from your cell, and when they do, it creates some huge problems, and we'll talk about that. But see, this is 20,000 people in an arena. That's how many free radicals attack each one of your cells every day, 10 to 20,000. If you want to say, well, let's look at what happens over a 5-day period, look at this. That's 100,000 people. So that many free radicals are attacking your cells every 5 days. Crazy. Okay, so now back to me. Here we go. Thank you. So the way a free radical works, it steals an electron from the cell, and when that does, it creates oxidative stress, too much oxygen for the cell to process. Oxidative stress is at the foundation of nearly all of our physiological problems. Oxidative stress does a lot of bad stuff, not the least of which is it introduces inflammation into the cell. Now let's show a picture of the cell, Keith, if you can find that one. It's probably, yeah, there it is. Okay, so that's a cross-section of a human cell, and it's not magnified to the point of showing DNA and atoms and neutrons and electrons, but still, all those things are working in sync. They're purposely designed. I mean, it is amazing. Now, when you throw inflammation in there, it'd be like dropping a little piece of sludge in there, and now that's going to obstruct the normal healthy functioning of what goes on inside a cell. Okay, back to me, thank you. And oxidative stress creates inflammation in the cell, and here's the part that nobody likes, it accelerates the aging of the cell. So think about that. Do you want your heart to get older faster or stay younger longer? Do you want your brain to get older faster or stay younger longer? Do you want your kidneys, your liver, your lungs? Oh my gosh, I want my lungs and my heart to stay as young as possible, as long as possible. Well, then we have to do something to counter oxidative stress that is created by free radicals that creates the inflammation and accelerates the aging. The other thing oxidative stress does, here it comes, the oxidative stress and the inflammation it creates opens the gateway to 78 disease classes, including cancer, diabetes, heart disease, pulmonary diseases, fibrosis, COPD, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, degenerative neurological diseases. All of that's opened up as oxidative stress. Guess when it all starts? Now, I haven't seen any new studies, but the old studies showed your glutathione levels start to decline at the age of 20. And according to microbiologists, guess when you start to age? Not at 0. Everything's positive from 0 to 20. At 20, when the glutathione levels start to decline, aging begins. Aging is the decline in 12 biomarkers. And those 12 biomarkers start declining at the age of 20. And guess when they fall? 8 of them fall off the cliff, and that's when they say you're old age. In the United States, 8 of them fall off the cliff at 27. So I love asking audiences, are any of you 27 or younger? They'll raise their hand. I'll say, how old are you? 26. You got one more year before you're old. See, now with the new studies about more rapid aging with young people, maybe that's not true anymore. Maybe it's worse. So that opens up all these diseases. There's a great article on this that was published in the Journal of Cellular Biology, and you can look it up if you Google the dysregulation, I know that's a big word, the dysregulation of glutathione and the etiology and progression of human disease. And in this brilliant article, it has over 600 citations to other scientific articles, but the publisher didn't have room, so they only included 300 citations. And it relates the decline in glutathione to 78 disease classes. I mean, you'll see it. You'll see all the big ones. All the big ones. Dr. Oz put it this way. He said, glutathione, it's the most important antioxidant you've never heard of. It's what protects you from the diseases you fear the most, or helps protect you from the diseases you fear the most. And unfortunately, when he did that show, we didn't exist. I wish we had. I would have probably been a guest on his show. He's a Harvard heart surgeon who had a medical show on TV here in the United States for many years. So how does an antioxidant work? Well, remember that the free radical steals an electron from the cell. Well, antioxidants, they donate one of their electrons to the free radical, thus protecting the cell, the scavenging of the cell. And when they make that donation, it sequesters or captures that free radical and neutralizes it. So that's the role of an antioxidant. Now, the problem is that there's a whole spectrum of free radicals. Some are sourced from hydrogen, some from oxygen, some from nitrogen, and all antioxidants are monofocused. What does that mean? That means that an antioxidant, we'll take vitamin C, it can sequester and neutralize this free radical, but it leaves all of these guys. CoQ10 might take out that one. Vitamin E, that one. Superoxide dismutase, catalase, and so on. But they always leave a lot more than they take care of. Glutathione is called the master antioxidant because it can sequester and neutralize all free radicals, regardless of structure, source, chemical composition. There's one that we hate today. It comes from those wonderful 5G cell towers. The antennas send out microwaves. Those microwaves come into our body. When they do, they react with the nitrogen in our body and create a free radical called peroxynitrite. Why is it so bad? It lives 1 billion times longer than any oxygen-based free radical. It can transfer from one cell to the other, and guess what it does? It attacks the mitochondrial DNA. So that's a real bad one. Thankfully, glutathione can neutralize peroxynitrite. It's the only antioxidant that can take that out, but it can take out any free radical. Okay, so what does all this mean? It means, do we want to live longer, live better, live healthier, have a higher quality of life. Somebody said, well, what does it do for me? What's it going to do for me? I said, it's going to change how you go through your day, physically, emotionally, psychologically, how soon you're going to poop out mentally or physically, how long you're going to endure physically. Now, I like endurance. I like being able to go as long as I want without running out of gas. And thanks to our product, that happens for me. So what do? Well, glutathione, we know it declines at a rate of 8 to 15% per decade. So I'll be 76. That means I have less than 40% of the glutathione today than I had at the age of 20. But the demand for it is just as high. The desperate need for defensive mechanisms is just as high. I've just got a gun with a lot fewer bullets. I can't take out as many bad guys as I used to. If you're 50 years old, at best case, you've got 30% less glutathione than you had at the age of 20. So it's declining. What do? Well, thankfully, we have health food stores, so you can go buy glutathione or cysteine capsules at the health food. The problem is, once they hit the stomach, they can't tolerate the stomach acid. They're too fragile. The sulfhydryl molecule breaks right off, making it a defective molecule, which will not be accepted in the cell. The cell will reject it. So you can go waste your money on capsules and products that you find in the health food store that say glutathione and everything. It doesn't make a difference. Sorry, that's wishful thinking. Well, we can get IVs. You can get an injection for about $80. You can get an IV, which is much better delivery, by the way. Injections are always suspect. They should be suspect because you don't know what the carrier solution is. You don't know what the added elements, the cofactors are in that solution. And just because somebody says, oh, you need vitamin E, you need vitamin C, you need vitamin A, you need this. So we put it all in one concoction and put it in your vein. Don't trust it. You go to a doctor. If you get on glutathione, get an IV. Now they cost $200 to $300. It takes about an hour to do it. But the problem with an IV is the half-life of glutathione, once it gets into the cell and is in a utilizable state, the half-life is only 90 minutes. So you get about a 6-hour bang for the buck. And then you get you actually get a 90 minutes where you're almost full strength. Then you get a 6-hour bang for the buck. And then you get a tail that's pretty impotent, but a tail that goes for another 24 to 30 hours after that. If you really wanted to protect yourself that way, you would, I'm ADD and my sweet wife just turned the light on and it distracted me. If you really wanted to protect yourself that way, you'd get a glutathione IV every other day. But most people can't afford $1,200 a month. We had a doctor in Miami, Florida, plastic surgeon. He was performing surgeries 14 hours a day, 5 days a week. So he was on 3 glutathione IVs a week. He said it was the only way he could keep his mental focus sharp and his physical and mental stamina enough to last through the whole 14 hours. He tried our product thinking it was going to be worthless because our product's under $2 a serving, and his glutathione was costing him $300 a serving. But he decided to try it anyway. And you consume our product by swishing like a mouthwash and holding it under your tongue. See, I do it. I love swishing. I do it in the morning. As soon as I get out of bed, before anything, I run to it. I pour 2 capfuls in, start swishing. Then I put my contacts in. I don't swish while I'm doing that, but I hold it under my tongue. Then I shave, and then I shower and everything. So I end up swishing for probably at least 3 minutes usually. But I love it because it just means more products transferring into my bloodstream. All right, that's what our technology is called. Our technology is called hydrostat, because we found a way to encapsulate the molecules of glutathione, cysteine, and the other cofactors with water instead of lipids. Lipid encapsulation is all over you can buy that at any health food store, liposomal. But the problem is those liposomes create additional bulk, which make the product oftentimes too big, the molecules too big to get into the cells. You see, the pores in the cells are only 10 nanometers in diameter. And I went to the University of Utah, told them what I wanted, would have saved me millions of dollars if they had succeeded. They gave me liposomal glutathione in the amounts I wanted and 10 times the amount I wanted. It did absolutely nothing. They could not get below 50 nanometers. So 50 nanometers is a particle this big trying to get into a hole that big. You know, you just can't do it. So here's bioavailability. Hey, I'm available to you. Goes right by it, nothing happens, okay? We want to get in the cell and be utilized by the cell. That's what makes us different. That's why we see things nobody in the world's ever seen. We started working with athletes. They started performing at a much higher rate. Their recovery times went through the floor. They started recovering so much faster. We'll show you one, and then I'll show you a few before and afters, and we'll be done. I know this is a longer one. We have a really nice group, so I want to just show. Let's go to Bill Gillespie. There he is. He's the guy in the middle, strength and conditioning coach for a professional football team. Then he went to his alma mater to finish out his career, and for 14 years was out at his alma mater. Now, when he was 49 years old, he set the world record in the bench pressing 804 pounds. And Michael, you can calculate kilos and open up your mic if you want. But 804 pounds at the age of 49 in 2008, world record. 10 years later, I called him in 2018, asked him how he's doing. He said, not good. He said, my recovery's so slow now that I can only lift heavy once a week. I used to lift heavy 4 to 5 times a week. He says, I'm racked with inflammation, so I hurt all day, and my bench press is in the toilet. I said, how much? He said, well, last year it was 725. This year it's about 705, 715. I said, Bill, that's a lot of weight for a 59-year-old. He said, yeah, but I don't get to compete. It's a world record, but I don't get to compete with the elite guys anymore because they're all pushing over 800 pounds. Well, he gets on our product, and look what happened. Okay, at 60, he went to 1,050 pounds, and let's see if we can find the kilo equivalent. 1,050 pounds. At 62, he lifted 1,129.8 pounds. I know that's over 500 kilos. And that set a world record. That's weighs more than a grand piano, by the way. Okay, 1,129 pounds equals 512 kilograms. Thank you, Michael. And that's 40% more weight than he lifted when he was 49 years old in his prime. Okay, now he can come back to me. It's not a coincidence that the curve was going down, gets on our product, and goes up. That's what happens when you can effectively reduce oxidative stress. Recovery time shrinks so you can work out more frequently with more intensity, and you're going to recover at a faster rate. That's what all of our athletes have reported. In fact, one medical group in Europe, they have 19 clinics, sports medicine doctors. They have discussed, and their client base is primarily world-class amateur athletes and professional athletes. We delay the onset of lactic acidosis by their testimony, 16.7%. And I said, is that a lot? He said, is that a lot? There's nothing I can give an athlete that'll delay it by 1%. He said, that's the biggest game changer I've ever seen in human performance. Well, you've got that. You can give it to anybody you want, and they can see improved performance, much faster recovery. That's what blew Bill away. He said, after he used it the first time, I called him up. I said, how'd you do? He said, well, I added 25 pounds. I said, is that good? He said, Steve, I've been going straight down. To add 25 pounds in 2 weeks. He said, that's unbelievable. He says, I said, how's the recovery? And he goes, oh my goodness, I'm not getting sore. I'm not getting sore. I just realized I'm not getting sore. You know, you don't notice when everything works right. You only notice when it doesn't work right. You notice the soreness, but you don't notice the absence of soreness. Well, he noticed it, and you saw the rest. One of our athletes was in an accident, and she used the product topically and saw such amazing results on her skin. I thought we may have the world's best skincare product. I had owned 5 cosmetic companies. I loved hair care. I loved makeup because you could get great before and afters. Skincare, you couldn't get before and afters that looked good. Well, watch what happened. Let's go to the very first one. This is Steve Scott. No, here we go. Keith is looking for it. Here we go. Sherry Warner, she was 59. This is 2018. I said to all of the beta group, and she was one member, I said, spray your face 5 times a day for 8 weeks. Well, she couldn't wait 8 weeks. She sent that after 7 weeks. Look at the difference. I sent that to my former formulator who became the head formulator for the company that created Botox. And when he saw that, he called me right away and he said, Steve, I hate to tell you, she's had a facelift. I said, no, she hasn't, John. He said, Steve, no topical in the world, not even Botox can do that. Look how much smoother, brighter, tighter. Look how it opened up her eyes. He says, that's so far beyond any topical. I said, I know. That's what we have now. Yeah? Well, look at what we have. We'll show you some more. Okay, those were my hands. I sprayed my right hand 4 times a day for 12 weeks. I didn't spray my left hand. You can see the difference. Next. I love this lady. She's 84 years old here. She's 85 now. And she got that result in 4 weeks. And I said, how the heck did you do it? How much did you use? She said, I had a strategy. I had spray bottles all over the house. So anytime I passed one, I sprayed my face. I said, 5 times a day? Oh, no, more than that. Every time I passed a bottle, I sprayed. And she said, I also had bottles of Swish around the house. So I did the same thing. Well, it shows 4 weeks. Look at that. This is another 80-year-old, 80 plus. And look at what it did for her legs. That was 10 weeks, from old lady legs to young lady legs. Next. Same thing here. She is 32, I think, and she owns a skincare salon. She's an esthetician, and that was after 7 days, 7 or 8 days. And she said, Steve, where did my pores go? Look how much smoother, brighter, tighter. Look how it opened up my eyes. Now, you ought to write some words down. Smoother, tighter, brighter, younger looking. Those are all key adjectives that describe what we see, and we see it with just about everybody. Next. Okay, I love this one, and we'll close with this one only because I'm way over. So this lady was 60 last year. That's when we met her. That's when how old she was. And look at that. The last picture is after 6 months. The first picture is after 4 weeks. And look at the difference. I mean, when we met her at the office, Aaron and I both thought she was probably 42, 43. She was 60. Okay, back to me. Thank you. So what does this mean to you? It means you have a chance to help people in ways that nobody else does. You can help them with our business opportunity, and it's legitimate. We pay out almost 55% of our total revenue is paid out in commissions to our field. And that's, according to the experts, that's, if not the highest, it's very close to the highest in the entire industry. Because we manufacture in-house, we're able to keep the cost down, and that means a lower price to the consumer and a better commission to our field because we've got a better margin. And so we're excited about that. Now, let me close by saying we've talked about glutathione. We put it in topical form in a spray. We put it in a supplement form in our NutraSwish. Now we've just applied our same technology to our neural product. And there it is. And we're getting it out to the world as fast as we can. We're already in America, Canada, and I think Mexico. In the next month, we'll also add Latin America and Europe. By the time I get there for our European, Ryan and I are going to 3 cities in Europe. We're going to France, Lyon, France, to Budapest and Hungary, and now to Amsterdam. We just added Amsterdam. We will have product ready to ship in Europe when we get there. So that's really, really good. So with that, let me say goodbye. We love you guys. Thank you for being faithful. Thank you for being a good steward. And you know we love you, and we want to keep honoring you. And I just, you're from so many places now, and we'll get to as many places in the next 12 months as we can get. We got Aaron on the road. I'm on the road. Ryan's on the road. Sergio, our head of sales, is on the road. Chris will be on the road. He's our operations, our chief operations officer. We want to serve you, and we want to honor you. Thank you for your partnership, and we'll see you soon. Same time next week. Michael or Keith, either one of you who's ever taken over, back to you.
That would be me.
Okay.
What a great call. You see, now you guys in Gauja could all see the same heart that Jamie and I saw when we made that 8-hour drive to Dallas, Texas, and would put us in NUMMI for life. Flags planted, not a better company out there, in my opinion. And from the leadership at corporate to the technology, the breakthrough technology that we all get to share with the world. Thanks again for being here tonight. Next Tuesday night, we got the global corporate call, the global opportunity call at 6 o'clock Mountain Time, 5 Pacific, 7 Central, and 8 o'clock on the East Coast. Don't forget to invite. It's going to be a great call. Anybody that you know, love, you want to get them there because they're going to get to see the opportunity of NUMMI. Tonight was the technology. Tuesday is the opportunity of NUMMI, and it's a great one. Thanks again. You have a great evening. Good morning, good night, and good afternoon.
Is this recorded on Facebook or on YouTube?
YouTube.
Okay, so you can see tonight's playback if you need it for anybody.
Yep.